Hey there, Peter Bookdeck here. There's an entire phone collection as of June 7th, 2026. I have 158 phones and 7 tablets, so that makes for 165 devices. Anyways, let's get started. Starting off with the smartphones. Here's my Motorola Moto G35. Got some in 2025. Here's my TCL 1. Got some in 2026. Here's my Samsung Galaxy Z03 Core. Got one in 2026. Here's my Samsung Galaxy Z03. I don't remember exactly when I got this one, but I'd say around early 2025, I believe. Here's my Redvo L. Got some 2026. This one's screen protector has been peeling off recently. I wonder what's wrong. Sorry if you hear noise. This is my parents talking. They're gonna talk a lot in this video. Here's my Motorola Moto E20. Got some 2025. This was my grandma's old phone before she switched to a Moto G05. Here's my Motorola Moto E7 Plus. This only works on the side of the screen, the left side. Here's my Motorola Moto E7. Got some 2025. This used to be my old main phone before I got the Moto G15. Here's my LG K22 Plus. Got one in 2026. Here's my TCL Semco 3C Plus. Got one in 2025. Here's my Samsung Galaxy A80. Got some in 2026. Just the brightness of this one because I feel scared. Never mind. So I just the screen. Yeah, fitting out. Here's my multi-laser E-Light. Got some in 2026. Here's my Motorola Moto G7 Plus. Got some in 2024. This one actually has switched hands over the years. Most recently I got some in 2024. This used to be my mom's old main phone before she switched to a Moto G73. Here are two LG K9 TVs. This one I got in 2024, and this one has been switching hands over the years, and most recently got one in 2026. Here's my Xiaomi Redmi 6A. Got some in 2026. Here's my Redmi 5. Got some in 2026. This one's me account locked. Here's my Samsung Galaxy J8. Got some in 2025. Here's my Samsung Galaxy J4 Plus. Got some in 2026. Here's my multi-laser MS50G. Got some in 2024. Here's my Motorola One. Got some in 2023, I believe. A Pebble came out. No, I don't think that was. It's actually just a used material. Here's my Motorola Moto G6 Plus. Got some in 2026. This one used to be my dad's old main phone before he switched to a Motorola Moto G73. Here's my Motorola Moto 5 Playgo. Got some in 2022. This used to be my grandma's old main phone, the extremely old one, before she got the Moto E20. Here's my Samsung Galaxy J4. Got some in 2025. Here's my multi-laser MS45S. Got some on the phone lot in 2025. Here's another one from the phone lot. Here's my Motorola Moto G5 Latam. Got some in 2025, obviously. Here's my Asus Zenfone 4 selfie. Got some in 2026. Here's a new one. Here's my Samsung Galaxy J7 Prime. Got some in 2026. This one works but with an extremely broken screen. Albeit the touchscreen works. Here's a Samsung Galaxy J5 Prime. I don't remember exactly when I got this one, but I'd say late 2024. Here's my Samsung Galaxy J1 Mini on Clevo. Got some in 2025. Here's another new one. Here's my multi-laser MS50 Colors. Got some in 2026. Oh yes, and this one I changed back to its original wallpaper because it was a picture of a family in it as the default wallpaper. Here's my LG K8 2016. Got one in 2026. Here's my Lenovo Vibe K5. This is a new one. This one 2026. This only shows a light in the charging screen. Here's my Yeekstel G929. Got one 2026. Here's my Motorola Moto E 2nd generation 3G. Got one 2026. Here's my CC Motion Plus SC452 TV. Got one 2024. Here's another new one. Here's my Motorola Moto G 2nd generation. Got one 2026. Here's my Nokia Lumia 930. Got one 2023. Here's my Microsoft Lumia 535. Been making a lot of mistakes here. Got one in 2023. These two are my only Windows phones. Here's my LG Prime Plus HD TV. Got one 2024. Here's my LG Optimus L1 2 Tri. This new. Got one 2026. Here's my LG L20. Got one 2025. Here's my Motorola Moto G 1st generation. Got one 2024. Here are two Milwayi N400s. Both of them I got in 2024. Here's another new one. Here's my Samsung Galaxy Pocket Neo. Got one 2026. Here's my Samsung Galaxy Win. This used to be my extremely old main phone before I switched to Motorola Moto E7. Got one 2022. Here's my Samsung Galaxy Fame. Alfonso's phone collection also has this phone. Got one 2026. Here's my Samsung Galaxy Star Trios. Got some 2023. Here's another new one. Here's my LG Optimus L42 Dual TV. Got some 2026. Here's my Samsung Galaxy Young Plus Dual TV. Got some 2023. Here's my Motorola Destino on Nextel. Got some 2024. Here's my Samsung Galaxy Pocket Plus Dual SIM 2. Got some 2026. This takes a while to boot. Wait, I lifted it off, sorry. And I think that part of the power button is now there, so yeah. Oh, there you go. Here's my LG Optimus L3, just another one from the phone lot. Got some 2025. Here's my iPhone 4S. It's my only iPhone in the collection. Got some 2024. Here's my Sony Ericsson Rifle Walkman. Got some 2024. Here's my Sony Ericsson Xperia Mini Pro 2. Got some 2024. Here's my Motorola Spice Key on Claro. Got some 2025. Here's my Samsung Galaxy 5 on T. Got some 2024. Here's my Samsung Galaxy Spica on TMN. It's my only European phone. Got some 2026. Here's my Motorola Click on T-Mobile. Got some in 2025. Alright, so moving on to the tablets, I have 7 of them. Just stated in the beginning. Here are 2 Multi-Laser M7S Quad cores, old version. This one I got in 2023, and this one I got in 2024. And finally, here's the last of the new stuff. Here's my Samsung Galaxy Tab 4 TV 7.0 Wi-Fi. Got one 2026. Here's my Samsung Galaxy Tab 3 7.0. Got one 2026. Here's my CC Motion First Tab. Got one 2026. Here's my Positivo YBY AB10E. Got some 2026. Logging this in here. There you go. Here's my Samsung Galaxy Tab 2 7.0 Wi-Fi. Got some 2026. Moving on to the semi-smartphones, here's my Samsung Star TV. Got some 2026. Here's my ZTN 290 on Clivo. Got some 2023. Here's my Samsung Champ 2 on Clivo. Got one in 2026. Here's my LG Cookie Gig. Got one in 2026. Here's my Samsung Duos Touch. Got one in 2025. Here's my Motorola Moto TV. Got one in 2024. Here's my Motorola Screen Dual Chip on Ting. Got one in 2023. Moving on to basic phones, the last category. Here's my Nokia C206. Got one in 2026. Here's my Murad Smart, Motorola Murad Smart. Got one in 2025. Here's my Samsung Squash on Vivo. Got one in 2024. Here's my Blue Z3. Got one in 2023. Here's my Motorola W218 on Clivo. Got one in 2025. Here's my Motorola T190 on Oi. Got one in 2025. Here's my LG A275. Got one in 2024. Here's my Positivo P25. Got one in 2024. Here's my Motorola C168i on HNT. Got one in 2023. Here's my Sony Ericsson K300i on Ting. Got one in 2025. Here's my Samsung GTE 1500. Got one in 2024. Here's my Motorola C155 on Ting. Got one in 2024. Here's my Nokia 110 Dual SIM. 2012. Got one in 2024. 2023. Here's my Samsung S8 C276 on Ting. Got one in 2024. Here's my Motorola C115 on Clivo. Got one in 2024. Here's my LG E395. Got one in 2026. Here's my Motorola V60T. Got one in 2025. Here's my LG KB151Q. Got one in 2024. The ribbon cable's starting to become faulty. I mean the hinge. So maybe it'll fall out one day. I don't know, maybe not. Here's my Nokia X100. Got one in 2024. Here's my Samsung GTE 1086W. Got one in 2023. Here's my Samsung GTE 2330B. Got one in 2023. Here's my Nokia Asha Tool 2. Got one in 2026. Here's my Sony Ericsson W205 on Clivo. Got one in 2025. Here's my Nokia 11080. Got one in 2023. Here's my Motorola Rocker EM25. Got one in 2024. Here's my Blackbird Curve 9320 on Clivo. Got one in 2023. Okay, I've activated my plan. My mom said sorry. This is gonna be cooler. Here's my Blackbird Curve 8350i on Nextel. Got one in 2025. Here's my Sony Ericsson K200i. Got one in 2024. Here's my LG Brio. Got one in 2024. Here's my Louis Vuitton K16. Got one in 2025. Here's my Motorola Razr Z3 on Claro. Got some 2024. Here's my Nokia 2220 Slide. Got some in 2025. Here's my Motorola i485 on Nextel. Got some 2024. Here's my DLY C230. Got some 2024. Here are two Sony Ericsson W380Is. The purple one I got in 2024, and this black one I also got in 2024. The black one used to be my mom's extremely old phone. First, she got an unknown LG phone. Here's my Alcatel OT223. Got some 2024. Here's my Vaio E71 clone. Got some 2026. Okay, so expect some new photos for now. Here's my Samsung SDH G600. Got some 2025. Here's my Nokia C100 clone. Got some 2023. Sorry. Here's my Multilaser Vita 4. Got some 2025. Here's my Nokia 2630 on Claro. Got some 2023. Here's my Motorola Razr V3i on Claro. Got some 2024. Here's my LG Wine. Got some 2025. Here's my Sony Ericsson K550i. Got some 2024. Here's my Siemens A52. Got some 2023. It's on Claro. I forgot to mention. Here's my Bright Baja. Got some 2024. Here's my Motorola Grid on Nextel. Got some in 2023. Here's my Lennox CX94A. Got some 2024. Here's my Motorola i290 on Nextel. Got some in 2025. Here's my Nokia 1221 new version. Got some 2025. Here are two Samsung GT1203s. This one I got in 2023. And this one has switched hands over the years, and most recently I got some... I don't remember when I got this one most recently, but I believe somewhere in late 2024. Here's my Sony Ericsson T230. Got some 2026. Here's my Gradiente TD550. Got some in 2024. Here's my Motorola i455 on Boost Mobile. Got some 2024. Here's my LG Folder 2 clone. Got some 2026. Moving on right here, we're on to the final one. I'll organize on this first. Okay, organized. But maybe not in the best way. No. Okay, we're back. Here's my LG C299. Got some 2025. Here's my Nokia 7028 got some 2024. Here's my Multilaser Up Dual. Got some 2024. Here's my Sony Ericsson W200 Ion T. Got some 2024. This one's locked with the passcode. Here are two Motorola WX290s. Got both of them in 2024. Here's my Multilaser Upplay 2019. Got some in 2024. Here's my Gradiente GF760 on Brazil Telecom. Got some 2023. Here's my LG A190B. Got some 2024. Here's my Multilaser Vita 3. Got some 2025. This one's from the phone lot as well. Sorry, I accidentally dropped it there. Okay. Here's my Samsung GTE 3217 Beyond Vivo. Got some 2023. Here's my Red Prime 2.4. Got some 2024. Here's my Samsung DTE 2210L. Got some 2023. Here's my Samsung S8 C510L. Got some 2024. 2025, sorry. For the phone lot. Here's my LG Onyx on Oi. This is a broken flexor, so I have to hold it carefully. Got some 2023. Here's my Nokia 8285i. Got some 2024. Here's my Redfit Music 2. Got some 2023. Here's my Rio Flip 2.4. Got some 2023. Here's my Blue Diva Flex 1.8. Got some 2026. Here's my Nokia Asset 205. Got this one in 2025. Here's my Nokia 1616 Got this one in 2024. Here's my Nokia 626 719. Got this one in 2023. Here's my... Sorry. I was just missing you. Here are two Nokia 2310s. This one has switched hands over the years, but most recently I got this one in 2026. This one I got in 2025. Here's my Blue Jenny 2. Got this one in 2024. Here's my Samsung Modi slider. Got this one in 2024. Here's my Rio 1. Yes, this is the actual one on the phone. It's very vague. Got this one in 2024. Here's my Motorola EX115. Got this one in 2025. Here's my Blue Bluecon. Got this one in 2025. Here's my Nokia Asset 201 on T. Got this one in 2023. Here's my Nokia C300. Got this one in 2023. Here's my Samsung Hero 1 Vivo. Got this one in 2025. Here's my Samsung Kiwi. Got this one in 2024. And finally, to end us all, here's my Nokia X300. Got this one in 2023. It's actually one of my first phones. Okay, this is some stuff here. Now let's unlock the phones and turn them off in the meantime. This one probably just died. No, it's still alive. So it's currently my backup phone. I think the touchscreen on this one is also not responsive. Okay, I forgot to turn the F1s off, so I might as well just do that instead. This one right here, just onto the camera. What was it? There it is. This one takes a while. Because the hashtag key is actually really hard. Okay. Alright, so that's my entire phone collection as of June 7th, 2026. Hope you enjoyed this video and peace.